Walter E. Hanson was born July 14, 1918, and is the founder of Hanson Professional Services Incorporated. Throughout his distinguished career, he has been an educator, an author, a practicing engineer, and a business owner.
Early in my life, I suppose I was 7 or 8 years old, my father and I would drive the horses attached to a farm wagon to town to shop. We passed over Salt Creek, and they were building a new bridge at that time, and that fascinated me. Well, I think there's no question but what it probably stimulated my interest in structural engineering.
In 1935, Walt entered Kansas State University in Manhattan, called Kansas State College of Agriculture and Applied Science at the time. He was the first in his family to work towards a college education. Walt graduated in 1939 and was hired by the Sinclair Company. He traveled from town to town in Texas and Oklahoma to locate possible oil fields. During this time, he also met and fell in love with Sue, who later became his wife. In 1940, Walt joined the firm of Ash, Howard, Needles, and Tommen, now known as HNTB, as a structural draftsman and junior designer in Kansas City.
First job there was the Dubuque Bridge across the Mississippi River. But I, as a beginning engineer, did not do too much on the big, long, complicated spans, center spans, but I did have the opportunity to do some work on the smaller spans and the smaller piers and retaining walls and that sort of thing. And it was good experience for a young guy.
In 1942, Walt was hired as an instructor in the University of Illinois Civil Engineering Department, where he began his graduate studies. With World War II accelerating, Walt joined the U.S. Navy. Trained in radar and communications at Princeton and MIT, he was sent to Barbers Point Naval Air Station until the Japanese surrendered in September of 1945. Walt returned to Champaign to continue his education and teaching, and met his daughter Karen for the first time. Ralph Peck, a renowned geotechnical engineering professor, brought Walt onto his team as a structural engineer from 1947 to 1951, and thus began Walt's involvement with the book Foundation Engineering, first published in 1953.
The Hanson Firm started with a call from my roommate at Kansas State, who at that time, he had returned from the service and had joined the Wilson Company in Salina, Kansas. He said that they had signed a contract with the Kansas Turnpike Commission for the section of the turnpike from Wichita to the Oklahoma line, and it had 56 bridges on it, and they didn't have the expertise to handle the bridges.
To accommodate the work, Walt, along with two partners, started W.E. Hanson and Associates. By 1960, differing opinions of the partners facilitated the formation of the Walter E. Hanson Company, which worked on Class I railroads and provided hydroelectric dam engineering in the Dominican Republic. In 1972, the company name changed to Hanson Engineers Incorporated, and its restructuring enabled employee stock ownership.
I was always, from the beginning of the company, interested in getting the employees to realize that they were part of the company as far as ownership was concerned.
The company continued to grow, becoming a leading engineering firm. In 1987, Hanson was one of the top 500 design firms recognized in the Engineering News Record. Today, it's hard not to notice that Walt's values for the company remain and keep it successful. But if you ask Walt what truly makes this a great company, he'll tell you.
The employees are what has made this company. I didn't make it. I had good health.